welcome all of you here. We are here because we share a passion for making things better for women and girls around the world. And that's amazing. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to June Mary. You're mute, June Mary.
Yes, you're actually passing it on to Charlie Toledo, who is, I believe, a founding board member of WIN, but has been here from the beginning and been instrumental in all of our work, and definitely in bringing in so much wisdom and Indigenous perspective and to inform all of the work that we do. And so I'm going to turn it over to Charlie to welcome us with a blessing. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. So I'm not a founding member, but I have been active since way back. So just on behalf of the First People, I've been offering this prayer a lot because people seem to be falling into fear or despair, which seems funny. As I say, if you don't know, if you're waiting for somebody to tell you what to do, you're still living in fear. And so the offering today, on behalf of Tatawari, Tarumara, Grandmother of all things, the darkness that holds the stars in place. We're here as humble two-leggeds on this earthly planet. We are the only planet in the solar system that has surface water. And I want to give gratitude for the rain that's raining here. I'm calling in from the unceded territory of the Ohlone, the Onisati, the Patwin people, and 21 tribes of Pomo Nation surrounding Napa County. All of the United States is built on the bones and the blood of the First People. It was a Euro invasion. It was the beginning of one of the worst genocides on this earth. It still is unrecognized as genocides. The public officials are just beginning to acknowledge what occurred here, that it was an invasion and a genocide. It didn't just wipe out the people, especially here in California, but the memory of the people. And that's why part of the tradition for WIN has always been to acknowledge the First People on whose lands we sit on. And I just say that we come to you with a model for resiliency. My grandparents, it wasn't a history, it wasn't long ago. My grandfather was taken as a 7-year-old child from his family and given into a European family to be raised as a servant. My 2 grandmothers were taken as babies, gifted to Spanish families to be raised as servants. And in the model of resiliency, of adaptation, of survival, that we are a model to everyone, a model of courage, a model of adaptation. And it's really important for us to focus on the solutions, which I think that Marilyn has been a paradigm of solution-based thinking. She's been an incredible leader. I was in Beijing in 1995 with Ilahe and Marilyn, but we didn't know each other then. At a gathering after everyone had returned from Beijing, Linda Berman from Women of Color asked if I could do a blessing then. It was in 1995, about a month after we'd all come home. And my blessing then was, profound and simple, that we had stepped into the future, and the future was beautiful. And the despair that some people were having upon returning home to their home lands was that we were in the present. And that it's so important to be in the present. When you think of adapting or being resilient, it's to be present to the moment as it unfolds in its own perfection. And from where we stand right now to take the next step, keeping the goal of that beautiful future that we all experienced. And I said, if our steps fail, then we took too large of a step. We need to step back, contemplate, meditate, and then take a smaller step forward. And if that step fails, do the same thing, step back, contemplate, and think of a next smaller step to take from where we're standing right now, many small steps. I spoke for 3 minutes, and then we went on with a wonderful, incredible couple of days of celebrating our wins and our experiences in Beijing. A year later, there was a convening that Marilyn Fowler had called at Stanford University. I was asked to speak, but I had other commitments. I said, no, I can't make it. But then those commitments fell through. So I called at the last minute and said, well, I can participate. I called the organizer who had invited me. And she said, well, I'll have to check with the team because it was a committee creating the statewide, what became CAWA, California Action Women's Agenda. This was in 1996 at Stanford University. So I said, that's fine, whatever I can do to help. And so when she called back, she said, it turned out everyone on that committee had been at that blessing in Oakland, taking small steps, contemplating and taking another small step so that we could successfully move towards our goal. And that's when all the women realized that had inspired, those few words had inspired a whole state movement, which has now become an international movement. Marilyn was stepping forth where other people weren't even dreaming of. She kind of got her little face in my face at Stanford and was saying, oh, and I was like, it's this lady, get out of my face. But she, being the little insistent person that she still is to this day, she said, we have to talk. And that was the beginning of a long, long journey. I've been very, very grateful for Marilyn Fowler, for her courage, for her vision to step where no other people would even think of stepping. She created Apple computers at the Beijing conference. People give credit to Apple, but it was Marilyn who petitioned them, requested that they be there and set up the computers, which in 1995 was very ahead of its time. Most of us had not even known what computers were, how to work them. But that gave us our own link back to our countries, to our worlds. It was a phenomenal effort. And then from that, she was part of the key team organizing what became CAWA at Stanford University a year later. Let's organize state by state, county by county to implement human rights for women and children. And when that didn't work, it was Krishante Jamaran that had, well, wait, let's take a smaller step. What's a smaller step? We can't do, the United States isn't approving this treaty, this international treaty guaranteeing human rights for women and children. Let's do it at the city level. People were telling her, no, a city can't sign an international treaty. But she said, well, they can if they do. And Governor Willie Brown at the time did sign that treaty. Governor Newsom was the superintendent, county supervisors, and he put a budget behind that. And now, decades later, that has become a model for world implementation, how to bring human rights to where we live. Because up here, it's theoretical, it's abstract. When we bring it to the cities and the towns, the villages where we live, it becomes real. And on behalf of the women and children of the world, on behalf of the Indigenous people, I want to thank Marilyn Fowler for her incredible leadership. It breaks my heart that we can't have her with us like we got so used to having. But I think of you, Marilyn, every day. I thank the creator, the universe, the grandmother of all things for putting us all together on your path. Thank you so much, everyone, today for being here for us to collectively honor Marilyn and her amazing work. Thank you.
Oh, Charlie, thank you so much. That was beautiful. I really appreciate that. All right, so you did mention Marilyn being here. So what I'd like to do right now, and Lauren, if you could spotlight Marilyn for us, I'd like to introduce our honoree today, the distinguished visionary, Marilyn Fowler. And she's coming to us from her assisted living home with her fantastic son, Chris. We also are privileged and honored to have her son, Lee, joining us today. So both of her sons are with us today as we honor their mother. And Marilyn, we are incredibly excited to be here celebrating you. We are going to share a little video, a tribute video, in just a moment. But before I do that, I definitely would love to just welcome everyone again and call attention to our distinguished visionary leader, Marilyn, who is with us on this call today. And hopefully everyone throughout the agenda will have a moment to chime in and congratulate our dear friend, our mentor, our leader, Marilyn Fowler. All right. So can we see Chris, Lauren? There they are. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Marilyn. Oh, your beautiful red, your signature red sweater that you're wearing. You're always so bright. We love you, and we're here to honor you today. So enjoy. All right, with that, would you please show our short little video clip, Lauren? Everybody turn up your volume if need be. And I will mute your microphones.
Women's Intercultural Network honors visionary leader and founder Marilyn Fowler. Emerging from the Beijing Fourth World Conference on Women and for more than 30 years, WIN's global circles continue to support local impact for advancing equity and women's human rights.
My name is Marilyn Fowler. I'm the president and CEO of the Women's Intercultural Network. When I became involved in Planned Parenthood, at the same time I was involved in the civil rights movement. And so that was kind of a natural leap for me into a multicultural coalition building. And I was just always an organizer. I went to Beijing, of course, when we heard that women's rights were human rights. Women's Intercultural Network really was formed, the original mission was to bring women across cultures, which was a global vision. And I had no idea, of course, that I would be able to meet with many of those women in many countries and actually bring them together as we have been able to do. The California Women's Agenda was formed after the Beijing conference. We came back and people started calling Women's Intercultural Network and saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to implement this global platform? Because WIN wasn't a single issue organization. So we said, okay, we'll do that. And we ended up with about 30 counties at one point, and they've now merged more into regions. Our theme today is bringing the global local, which is what we did with the California Agenda. What we're bringing locally now is CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. And we know that as a tool, that is what we can do to bring women equality all over the world. And we've started here in California, and it's going to spread globally, and we'll be talking more about that.
Currently, where some of these circles are happening is in Japan, Uganda, working with American Indians here in the US, working with farm workers, and in 2015 just added an Iranian women's circle.
Thank you, everyone. Marilyn, I hope that you enjoyed that. Chris and Lee, I hope you were as inspired by our compilation of your mom's work as I know that you are on a personal level, as you hold your mom in such great esteem. So, all right, with that, thank you, Chris. With that, I'd like to turn this over to Julianne Trailer to talk to us about today. And Marilyn, thank you. Go ahead, Julianne.
Okay. Greetings, Marilyn. I'm waving at you. Much love and admiration to you as we dedicate this year's celebration of International Human Rights Day in your honor. When we were thinking about what we would do this year, we said, what better way to do it than to honor you, our founder, for all of the incredible, inspirational, and dedicated work that you have done throughout many decades to implement the provisions of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and, for example, the international treaty, CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. December 10th is International Human Rights Day. It commemorates the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948. The UDHR laid the foundation for a series of widely ratified human rights treaties, which form much of the structure of international human rights law today. As a common standard of achievement for all peoples and all nations, the UDHR is a global blueprint for international, national, and local laws and policies. Let me take a few moments to send some personal comments and relate some personal comments. I can't actually remember exactly when I first met Marilyn, but maybe it was a bit before all of us in the San Francisco Bay Area were meeting to discuss strategies for the upcoming United Nations Fourth World Conference on Women that was to be held in Beijing in September of 1995. That was the beginning of decades of long collaboration and my personal friendship with Marilyn. 40,000 women and girls from all around the world descended on Beijing for the governmental delegation meeting in Beijing and the NGO meetings in Wairau. They had us separated by an hour, but through the rain and the resilience and the determination of the non-governmental organization delegates, we held forth. Some of us were official delegates to both meetings, and we took taxis back and forth all day long to participate in both sets of meetings. Marilyn was at the forefront of the collaboration among many delegations from around the world. Finally, in the wee hours of the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, the government delegations officially adopted the declaration and platform for action. But throughout our stay in Wairau, we heard Hillary Clinton proclaim, women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights. That was the mantra. We did not just return to California after the conference. We returned and organized to work on implementing the provisions of the declaration and platform for action. And you've heard Charlie and others reference that already. But we in California were the first in the country to organize along the 12 areas of concern. And I know that Gail and others will talk about it subsequently. I organized the Human Rights Task Force for that. So finally, what I would like to say is International Human Rights Day has a theme for its annual celebration as designated by the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. This year's theme is Our Rights, Our Future, Rights Now. During this event, you will get an idea of how Marilyn has been at the forefront of working to educate about our rights, to work to implement and guarantee those rights, and to lead the way for future generations to carry on this struggle. We'll be talking about what has been done, what we are doing now, the challenges we face, and the future. You will agree and see why we are honoring Marilyn on this special day, International Human Rights Day.
Thank you so much, Julianne. Deep gratitude for your sharing and context setting. What I'd like to do is turn the floor over to several honored guests and friends of Marilyn's. I am going to mention their names, and then as they begin their remarks, if you don't know them, they will introduce themselves. But I would love to, I don't want to take too much time because we have a lot of wonderful, wise, sage sisters and friends in this group. We're going to hear from Gail James, a little bit about Marilyn's activism, a little bit about the founding of the caucus. We'll hear from Brittany McLean, founder of US Women Connect, Soon Young Yoon, who does incredible work with the CEDAW Histories and Futures, but also has been a partner and organizer with Marilyn since the early days. We're going to hear from Liz Abzug. As we all know, Bella Abzug, who is just an incredible role model, her mother, and the work that Liz is doing now with leadership, it just continues to carry on her mom's legacy. But Bella Abzug was a dear friend and mentor for Marilyn, so excited to hear those remarks. And then finally, Elahe Imani will bring that section to a close as we give Marilyn her award. Really want to then encourage everyone to stay on so that we all have a chance to congratulate Marilyn. And what we're going to do at the very end is also, we have a really cool feminist necklace that I would like to give to one of our individuals who will be on, who's on our Zoom today. And it says, this is, I think, so fitting. Feminist, a noun, someone who understands and supports the radical notion that women are equal to men. And I think Marilyn had that from an early day, and that's probably a lot of what inspired her work. So with that, I'd like to turn this portion of the program over to Gail James. Thank you, Gail. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So wonderful to see all of you here today to honor this incredible person. I value your friendship, your mentoring, but also the connectedness, because if you know Marilyn Fowler, then you are connected. And as I'm going to just tell you a little bit about Marilyn's life prior to WIN, but through every stage and phase of her life of activism and advocacy, through the complicated tapestry of her life, everyone stays connected. No one is left behind. We all stay connected into what Marilyn has come to call her tribe. So I'm very proud to be part of that incredible group of feminists and activists. I first met Marilyn in 1976 when we worked on feminist issues for the bicentennial, which you may remember. It's a long time ago, but women's issues were not in the forefront of that project. But Marilyn convened a group of women. I was part of that. And we worked on those projects. And then later, Marilyn, being inventive, had several what she called development companies, in which she was involved with organizational and professional development and training. And she brought me into some of that training projects. And as we went forward, I could see the commitment. Not only was Marilyn involved in civil rights and social justice issues, and became member of the board of Planned Parenthood. She also became a national figure in Planned Parenthood and other civil rights issues. And at the same time, of course, she raised three feminist sons, and two of them are here with us today. And you'll see that it really makes a difference in how a mother raises a son to be part of this community. Marilyn also said to me at one point, you know, I'm looking for a conference. I'm looking for a conference in which I can bring civil human rights issues to American women. And so at that time, she was the co-coordinator for the Commission on the Status of Women here in Kansas City. And I think Alice Kitchen is here today, her co-coordinator, and they did a fantastic report in 1981, which is still in force today. We see a lot of the progress that was made. And while we were looking for a conference, Marilyn found the AWID conference in Idaho in 1990. And from that came WIN. It was one of the first an AWID conference, Women in Development, many of you may know. They are so engaged in bringing local issues to the global forefront as well. And so Bella Abzug was there. Marilyn introduced me to Bella Abzug, and so we all stayed connected with 8 or 10 people from Marilyn's tribe, worked on that. And I remember thinking of how she would name this new aborting organization. And it came to be Marilyn's wish that it be Women's Intercultural Network, because of Marilyn's activism and advocacy. It had to be a network that brought people together, that connected people, and that women across the globe could talk to each other in an intercultural manner, and that it be an advocacy organization that also took action steps to implement once she returned from the Fourth World Conference and with the Beijing platform. And so WIN was born. The implementation of the Beijing platform was integrated into the CAWA model. And so as Marilyn moved from Kansas City to the World Affairs Council in San Diego, she implemented many women's issues into that global environment, and then moved to San Francisco, where all of that came together. And as she nurtured this new organization, I was a founding member of the WIN board, but she brought together women in diverse fields with diverse interests and backgrounds, but who all were committed to the connectedness, the solidarity, the advocacy that we really needed to make it work. And at that same time, Marilyn became involved with the Department on the Status of Women in San Francisco, with Emily Morase and Krishanti Demaraj, who couldn't be here today, but who sends her fond regards to Marilyn, and implemented the way in which a local initiative can connect with global principles from the United Nations, and that looked at the empowerment and the well-being of women and girls, implemented into a legal principle. And so you turn human rights concepts into an actual political document that's an ordinance. And so we have seen that. We'll talk a little bit more about CEDAW in a bit, but I wanted to emphasize the connectedness and the integration of Marilyn's life work into her organizations, but also into her friendships, into her travel, into her remarkable tenacity. When you think of all of the women that we work with and admire, not very many of them have this kind of dedication to maintain a legacy. So we are all dedicated to continuing the legacy that Marilyn Fowler initiated, not only with WIN, but in her entire life, and to have a sense of connectedness, solidarity, empowerment, and movement. But it's also had in this small package, this small woman with her hats and her signature hats and gloves and scarves and jewelry, really made an impact. And I will tell you the impact when Madeleine Albright was here with her collection of brooches. She said, the brooch I got from the Women's Intercultural Network of the crystal women breaking the glass ceiling. She said that is my favorite. And so that you see a picture of that, I think, in the video. So we are here to celebrate Marilyn Fowler. I'm very pleased to note today the young women that are here, Lenka and Jessica and Kaden, you implement or embody the kind of mentoring. I have seen Marilyn mentor young women because she gave them responsibility, she gave them a voice, and that has filtered down to all of us to now have a voice, and as we work forward to the well-being of women and girls locally and internationally. So thank you, Marilyn, for all of you've done.
Thank you, Gail. Our next speaker really just kind of comes out of the work. Her organization comes out of the work that Gail just talked with us about. So I'd like to introduce and turn the mic over to Brittany McLean of US Women Connect. The floor is yours, Brittany. You're on mute.
Brittany, you're on mute.
Well, while okay,
there we go. Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. What an honor to be here today, and to see Marilyn's face makes me very, very, very happy, and to see all of your faces. I met Marilyn 17 years ago when I joined the board of US Women Connect and served as the Montana state coordinator. And I spent several years listening and learning. And Marilyn was absolutely my mentor, my guide. For 10 years, she was just this beautiful, strong voice that I heard on the conference calls, because that was back in the day where we could not see each other. And so we had regional calls every month, and I was absolutely just amazed at what Marilyn was working on, what the women were working on together. I stayed with it and stayed on the board as I raised my children, and I am a widow, and so I was living the issues that these strong guides were talking about. So it gave me the faith and the hope to continue in the face of feeling that my rights were not being upheld or protected. But she was the guiding light, and all of the women who worked collectively together, which Marilyn always made sure that it was the best and the brightest group of women. What I remember Marilyn saying always is, if we can just connect all of the women in the United States of America, we will just pull a switch and it will all light up, and we will go directly to the White House, and we will tell everyone what we need to talk about, and they will listen. So what an inspiration. I am honored to still be serving as the executive director of US Women Connect, which Marilyn founded. So I am honored to still follow that mission of really being on the ground and organizing as many numbers of women across all 50 states and territories, and to make sure that it is a diverse group of women and that we are truly united by number. So I am honored to fulfill that mission in Marilyn's honor and under her direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. Really appreciate that. And many of you who attend CSW will see Brittany. She's often, almost always there, right? So
Yes.
I love these collaborations, and I love nurturing these connections and continuing to build on Marilyn's legacy. So with that, I would like to turn the floor over to Soon Young Yoon to share a little bit about the early days of activism with Marilyn. Thank you for being here, Soon Young.
Great. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you too, Jean-Marie, and everyone else in the group. I was recalling as I saw the video that, in fact, Marilyn and I crossed paths heading to Beijing. I was one of the organizers of the NGO Forum, and of course, the U.S. had the largest delegation ever to leave the United States for a single event at that time. That is in the State Department's records. And I think the group of you who were there really made a difference when you came home, and that made all the difference to the impact of that conference. So next year, as you know, 25, we'll be looking at Beijing plus 30. And the kind of mentoring that you've mentioned that Marilyn has done is so critical now, because the generation that had the memory of the Beijing Women's Conference will not have another chance in about 20 years. So let's all dedicate ourselves to looking at intergenerational events and to passing on the legacy to other generations. I'm also remembering that on August 27, 2016 in Los Angeles, Marilyn was the presenter for your Circle of Courage Award, which was a very special honor because then Wynn had been a great partner in our campaigns in the US. And it's no exaggeration at all to say that it is really the NGOs that blossomed after the Beijing Women's Conference that made the United Nations much more accountable to women, and which turned the tide, as we can see, to the agenda of the United States, but also of the United Nations itself. As many of you know, I have lived with CEDAW for more than 35 years now, because I first read it when it came across our desk. I was a member of the Secretariat of the Second World Conference on Women in Copenhagen, and we were looking at the drafts of the Copenhagen Declaration and the policy document coming out of that. And I remember seeing this very elegant document, elegant in the sense that in very short 23 articles, it covered everything that we needed to say. So I said, why are we working on a new one when this really covers everything? But quite frankly, at that conference, we had opened it up to signature for governments, and a number of governments did sign. You know that President Carter did sign in 1980, but there was not much enthusiasm by either women's groups or governments at that time. It really took a number of years for the NGO side, the civil society side, the women's movement, the feminist movement that includes men and boys, to bring that document to life. And Wynn was such a part of that. So I say to you, Marilyn, stay healthy in spirit, in mind, and in body, and we honor you today.
Thank you, Soon Young. Really appreciate your perspective and the history and all the work that, pardon me, all the work that you continue to do on this front as well. So deep gratitude. I would like to next turn this over to Liz Abzug. So Liz, the floor is yours. You're muted.
Here we go. All right, here I am. Marilyn. Marilyn. Look at all the love and all the acknowledgement that you so dearly deserve. And I'm so glad that I'm able myself to see you today and acknowledge your incredible contributions to the international and the national women's rights movement. I remember meeting you in Beijing when I was there pushing my mother through in a wheelchair when we were all in Haru, and how you lit up to me. I was a lot younger woman then. All symbolizing all the personality of the politics of women across the world, in the sense that you, whoever said it before, I don't remember, one of the people on the call, I think might have been Gail, I'm not sure. You came to my mother and came to me, and I was there with her and said, we have to make this, modern. In addition, we have to interconnect what we're doing here in Beirut, in Haru. And there is this computer setup that I really want you guys to use, because we have to communicate this to the world beyond Haru and Beijing. And you had a personality that I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I believe you were wearing a turban that day, a couple of days that I saw you, a turban. And my mother, the hat woman who, had amazing collections of hats, said, "Who is that woman? Who she keeps running around and making all these connections and talking to the global South and global North NGOs. Who is that woman? She's incredible in terms of what she's trying to bring together here with the NGOs that are from around the world." And I know that afterwards, you and I had communication. I know that you reached out a lot. My heart was very warmed by that in terms of trying to stress the importance of East Coast, West Coast, international, to work on the platform for action. You knew that I was working and continue to work with young women and girls to inspire them and to be the current and next generation of leaders. In the organization I named in my mother's legacy, the Bell Abzug Leadership Institute, but you were persistent and really strong, like very few women I've known, except for my mother and a few others, who really in your heart, intellect, your soul, believed we had to bring the domestic movement to the international movement, bridge it, and bring people together in this country, women and girls and some men, to carry out the platform for action. And that was 30 years ago, about now. It was 1995 that we were all in Beijing. I was trying to figure out myself what the heck was going on, because all the previous PrepCon conferences that I think Sun Yun referenced one in Copenhagen. And you've had an enormous impact, like everybody has said so far on this call. And I don't think you might even appreciate the level of that impact, because in all history, and I can speak to this, there are pioneers. You're one of them, in the sense that many people didn't understand, including even my mother in the beginning, I gotta say, but she worked really hard on this, bridging the international community with the United States feminist movement. And you are a pioneer, as Bella was a pioneer. And oftentimes you gals break down the barriers that enable younger people and the younger women than me and us on this call to be able to try to see a vision for gender equality, to be able to, to bridge together cultures where, even though we come from very different backgrounds and cultures and religions and ethnicities and races and et cetera, and small and teeny communities, that you understood that you need to include all of these people, all these women. And then we might find a way forward to create gender equality. And so I'm very moved that we're honoring you. I was very glad when I was reached out to by El Hahe. My mother really respected you, and she loved your hat and your turban. That's what I clearly remember. And she kept saying, "Well, wow, that woman knows all about computers. Apple, what is she talking about? Let her take care of that, because we do need that." She understood it intellectually, but she didn't understand it practically. So I want to say you deserve this 100 times fold. Your heart, your soul, and your intellect. It's a rare combination. I always tell my young women that, and girls, a rare combination of someone that has a heart, an intellect, a soul, and the intelligence to bridge the worlds together of women. And you've done that. And that's what the testament of all these women is, who are joined this call, who have worked with you, some much, much closer. You pulled me in, you sort of mentored me too in a bit, and pulled me in to try to continue to be the activist that I was at a younger age, but that you showed the way for the interconnect, and that the intercultural connect and the international and national. And I think oftentimes we don't acknowledge that enough, the bridge between the international and our United States feminist movements. And I'm very glad to be able to honor you. I think you deserve it tenfold. I think you should get a Presidential Medal of Honor, not with this guy coming in, but I do have to say, I am trying to bring forth the legacy of my mother and women like you to the girls and young women who would never have that kind of access, many of them, they're low-income young girls and women, to the kinds of things that you and Bella and everybody on this call is talking about. So pioneers, my mother never got to see where we are today, unfortunately, and you're here to see the good and the bad, and to try to keep fighting for the rights of women and girls. So I thank you.
Oh, Liz, so moving. Just like your mama, your voice. I love even the timbre, even like the tone, the strength of your voice reminds me of your mom, how she had that like booming presence. And wow, she's smiling because you are really a beautiful legacy of her work as well. So thank you. And thank you for sharing all of those poignant remarks about Marilyn. I could not agree more. All right, our pioneer Marilyn, we are going to move on to Elahe Amani, the president of WIN, who joined Marilyn at the Beijing conference in 1995. And then we'll move on to honor Marilyn with a beautiful award. And then just look to the future for a few minutes about the legacy of WIN and what is the ongoing work. And then give you all an opportunity to join us or jump in and have a conversation. And then, of course, one of you lucky recipients will be awarded the feminist necklace. So hang in there with us. And with that, I'd like to turn this portion over to Elahe Amani. Thank you, Elahe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so moved by the words of Sun Yang and Liz, really touch my heart. And we are all proud to be true to our motto that to build on the incredible foundation laid 30 years ago by Marilyn, and true to our motto that we are not an organization that network. We are a network that organizes, and that was reflected in the words that we heard. So I want to share my story with Marilyn, how I got to know Marilyn. As an Iranian American women's rights advocate, my journey with the global women's movement began nearly 5 decades ago when I first heard about women gathering in Mexico City in 1995, a year after I came to US for furthering my education. While I had planned to attend Nairobi conference in 1985, family responsibility kept me home. But by September of 1995, I was ready for the long-awaited trip to Beijing. At the time, I was at Cal State Long Beach, and through my connection with the Women Studies program, I learned that about the Bay Area Women of Color delegation going to Beijing. So I contacted Linda Burnham, flew to San Francisco, and joined a group of over 60 women and girls for a 14 hours direct flight to Shanghai. I didn't know anyone in that group at first, but Marilyn Fowler was the first person to introduce herself to me. She welcomed me warmly and connected me with others. Perhaps I was the only delegate from Southern California. But that didn't matter. Marilyn had a way of making everyone feel like they belonged. That flight was unforgettable. Constant conversation, sea change, and spirited discussion about gender politics and global issues made the time fly. In Beijing, I conducted a workshop on women's human rights and Islam. And I know Marilyn was busy, but she, all of a sudden, she showed up at that workshop just to, I guess, support me or tell me that she does care about, I'm conducting a workshop. Like many of us, I moved between the official conference and the NGO forum, which was an hour outside the city in Bayreuth. It was during this trip that Marilyn and I formed a bond. She encouraged me to join Women's Intercultural Network, and I did. At the time, I was co-chair of the Coalition of Women from Asia and the Middle East, QAMI. But Marilyn and Eileen Hernandez taught me so much about leadership, advocacy, and connecting across cultures. Marilyn recognized my passion for mediation and listening, and she believed in me. So as she did in so many women, she believed in women and particularly younger women. Over the years, through countless late night emails and conversation, she became a mentor and a friend. She championed younger women, immigrant women, and women of color, always lifting others as she led. Because of her trust and encouragement, I became board member, then chair of Global Circles, and now serve as president of WIN. Marilyn's vision and dedication have inspired generations of leaders, including myself. Thank you, Marilyn, for believing in all of us, for seeing the potential in every woman and giving us the courage to lead. Your legacy lives on in this organization and in the lives that you have touched. On behalf of the Women Intercultural Network Board, please accept, Marilyn, my heartfelt appreciation for your visionary leadership, unwavering dedication, and a steadfast belief in gender equality. Your impact has extended far beyond California, reaching national and global communities. Thank you for staying true to the mission of bringing Beijing home, for connecting us with Indigenous women of California, women in Central Valley and farm workers community, and for building bridges between women in United States and women in Japan, Uganda, Afghanistan, and Iran. In recognition of your incredible contributions, it is our honor to announce the creation of a $500 Marilyn Fowler Youth Delegate Scholarship to CSW. This award reflects your legacy of empowering younger generations and advancing the rights of women and girls everywhere. Thank you for inspiring us, Marilyn. Thank you.
Thank you, Elahe, and thank you, Marilyn. On behalf of the board, we really just want to express our deepest gratitude. And this was one of the ways that we thought would be most fitting, given your passion for youth, given your passion for elevating their voices in international forums, and for encouraging their own leadership and vision. So that's our honor for you today. And with that, we'd like to just share a little bit about your legacy with WIN and what WIN is involved with. There are a few pillars of our work at Women's Intercultural Network, and we have a couple, I shouldn't say several, but we have a handful of our delegates and board members who would just share a word about the ongoing legacy of WIN, and then we would like to move on and also invite everyone else to be a part who isn't, and if you were a part, to renew and also join us, and then also just open our mics so that we can have some sharing at the end for folks who would love to just give Marilyn a congratulatory message or share a sentiment. So with that,
Marie, I have a few remarks that Marilyn wrote that I'd like to read on her behalf, if that's okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay, it's great. We love it. Thank you, Chris.
So thanks you all. I'm Chris Fowler. I'm Marilyn's son, and Marilyn had put together some remarks here. I'll just read them quickly. So from Marilyn, thank you all for this incredible honor. I am deeply moved to receive the inaugural Marilyn Fowler Award from the Women's Intercultural Network, an organization that has been my life's work and passion for over 3 decades. When I founded WIN in 1994, I had a vision of connecting women across cultures for collective action. From the streets of San Francisco to the villages of Afghanistan, Uganda, Iran, and Japan, we have woven a web of women's voices, ensuring that all women and girls are heard in public policy forums. Our journey has been one of persistence, progress, and overcoming obstacles. Together, we've implemented the Beijing Platform for Action, created the California Women's Agenda, and launched initiatives like Calling the Circle to promote full participation in democracy. This award is not just a recognition of my efforts, but a celebration of every woman who has been part of this incredible network. It honors the marginalized voices we've amplified, the bridges we've built across cultures, and the policies we've influenced. As we look to the future, let us continue to march forward with enduring commitment and a passion for social justice. Let us persist in our mission to assure that the voices of all women and girls are heard in their governments, societies, and economies. Thank you for this honor, and let it serve as a reminder of the work that still lies ahead. Together, we will continue to call the circle, weave our web, and create a more just and equitable world for all women and girls. Thank you again, and please remember to visit our website, winaction.org/donate.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's hard to pull it together when I hear those words from Marilyn, and so appreciate all of your work and the body of your work, Marilyn. So thank you. Thank you, Chris, for helping us to facilitate Marilyn being here. And I know you're her interpreter, and I had the privilege and honor and pure joy of getting to see her in the last couple of years a few times and giving her a big hug, but I recognize it is really challenging for her to actually speak. So for you to be able to articulate her voice for us means everything. And I am so excited. I would love to put that statement on our website, and thank you again, Marilyn. Really, really appreciate you. All right, so as a part of your legacy, Marilyn, you know that we are, all of us here on this call, continue to just work away on the spaces in all of our spheres of influence that we can to really advance what your vision was, which is equality for everyone, not just women, but everyone, and women being those who have been marginalized most. So with that, I would like to talk about just a couple of the pillars of WIN that are a part of your legacy. So there are a few areas of focus that WIN has undertaken, and these will all be familiar to many of you. And then I would like for those of you who I would turn the mic over to give just an example of what that looks like. So with WIN, we have about 4 pillars of advocacy that we work on. We work on global advocacy for women and girls, and we're going to have Catherine Harris talk a little bit about our project with Afghan women. We have our work with Cities for CEDAW, and those of you who are involved in that work know very well Dr. Gail James, who has stewarded so much of this work in the last 10 years and really helped us to build out the reporting mechanisms and just the research and stay connected with that work. So she'll touch on that. And then our UN engagement at CSW. So that portion, I would love to hear from a couple of our recent delegates, as well as just share a small story of one of our global or local to global projects that we did, or initiatives that we did that Marilyn was a part of. And then lastly, our global circles, the calling circles that Marilyn referred to that she kicked off and how powerful they've been. And I'm going to have Elahe close with that. And then that will kind of wrap the formal part of our program, and we will jump into sharing some sentiments, doing our raffle, and just kudos and thanks. So with that, I would like to first invite Catherine Harris to talk a bit about our global advocacy for women. It's all you, Catherine.
Well, in 2021, about then, when the Taliban came back into rule in Afghanistan, they started hunting down judges and attorneys and women who had been activists. They were releasing men who had committed domestic violence from the jails and so forth. And WIN was approached about sponsoring different women and families who were being hunted by the Taliban. It started off with attorneys and judges that we supported for humanitarian parole to the United States. So Elahe and I spent over a year and a half, and we helped over 174 individuals, sponsoring them for humanitarian parole. It was every Thursday. We'd be on WhatsApp because it's a safe line, talking in Afghanistan, in Uzbekistan, Pakistan, all over to these families and women to try to see if we could support them in their applications for humanitarian parole, which we did. And a lot of the stories were incredibly emotional. We had, we had women who had suffered from domestic violence, and the perpetrators, whether it be their father, their husband, their brother, were now being released from jail and coming after them. We had families that were running from house to house with neighbors turning them in and so forth because maybe somebody in their family had been involved in helping with human rights issues and so forth. And for me personally, it made me reflect on how lucky we are. We may have some dark times in our country, but to know that you have families that are running with small children and they're being hunted, and having the Taliban knocking on their door and their neighbor's door trying to find out where they were, was very impactful. So that's one of the things that Elahe and I and WIN have done. And this is the first time we're actually publicly speaking about that initiative. And we worked with large firms like Gibson and Dunn and so on, who were handling a lot of the legal side of it. I'm also a human rights attorney. So there was a little bit of help with that too. And of course, with Elahe being multilingual, speaking Farsi and many other languages, it was helpful. But there were times when where the internet wasn't working quite right. There might be something going on where they couldn't get on the WhatsApp properly, or they had to talk very softly because of what was going on. And it's a reminder of how lucky we are to live where we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. So excited that all of you get to meet our incredible board today. And Catherine is one such special person who is near and dear to me now, as all of my sisters on the WIN board are. So thank you for sharing that work. It's been incredibly inspiring, and we have had to keep it on the down low. But we're grateful to be able to share that as just an indication. That's just one bit of the work that WIN does. So with that, I would like to next share a little bit about our Cities for CEDAW program and turn the mic over to Gail James. Dr. Gail James, it's all you.
Thank you. Thank you. We've talked a little bit about CEDAW and Cities for CEDAW. I will just give a little bit of background. When the Senate did not ratify the United Nations Treaty on the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the idea came that we could implement it at the grassroots level. Soon Young Yoon, you've heard her explain a bit of that initial, the foundational concept. San Francisco had already implemented a CEDAW ordinance through the Department of the Status of Women in San Francisco, and Marilyn Fowler had created a model with the CAWA plan, which implemented principles at a grassroots level. And so each county in California, each city and town had a coalition where women would choose what was appropriate for them in health, education, welfare, and other violence and education of the girl child, et cetera, and implemented plans and active legal mechanisms to implement. And so that seemed to be a perfect coordination of how a Cities for CEDAW initiative could start and be fruitful. And so that's what happened. We've just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And so we refer you to the website, citiesforcedaw.org, where you can see the cities and towns, both in blue states, red states, small cities, big cities, have taken the notion that WIN has put forward, is that grassroots coalition building is the key to implementing a human rights agenda and to improving the lives of women and girls all over the country. And so we see from one city to two cities, from big cities, we now have almost 80 cities that have some form of a CEDAW initiative, and some in ordinances, which are legal documents, but as well as resolutions, and also coalitions working to magnify, amplify the voices of women at the grassroots level that implement a human rights agenda. Principles. And so we see how successful it has been. I would say that there would really be no Cities for CEDAW without WIN's stewardship and its solidarity with the grassroots level. I once said to Marilyn, but there is no directorate, there is no overarching structure in which to instruct people and educate the public about what CEDAW is and how to implement an ordinance. And she said, you know, it's really needs to be more grassroots than that. The coalitions, the local organizations, NGOs and coalitions of women and allies working to improve conditions and lives of women and girls, that has to take precedence. And then they talk to each other. They work with each other and they link up in solidarity and support. And that's why the resources on our website are numerous and gratis and open to all, and they do share them. And we have some people here today. Alice Kitchen is here, Kansas City, Jill Fallows from Virginia. And so we really have a coalition now of hundreds and hundreds of organizations, women and girls, that are implementing these principles. We hope that our next 10 years, we intend that our next 10 years will carry forward this legacy and will show that human rights cannot be banished from the consciousness of women and girls in this country. And so we will go forward. I want to close with saying, making a reference to Susan Lee and the U.S. Women Caucus at the UN, which I neglected to mention earlier as one of the organizations, along with U.S. Women Connect, that Marilyn started. She worked with Susan Lee, a sociologist and professor, who was not able to be with us, but who sent us a long letter detailing how they came to work together, in which she said, I tried to contact many, many human rights and women's organizations to get them interested in having a connectedness among women's organizations. No one responded. Many months went by. And then she said, I contacted Marilyn Fowler because I didn't know her, but I heard about her at CSW. And she said, Marilyn was the only one to respond. And in that 2016 started the U.S. Women Caucus. And Susan went on to say that she personally thought the mission should be somewhat limited in organizing the U.S. Women Caucus. And Marilyn, and I will read this to you because it's a wonderful sentence in which she said, Marilyn wanted everything. Marilyn wanted to change the world. She wanted a sweeping women's rights manifesto that would engage women and that would challenge the patriarchy that is the UN hierarchy. And so that's what the U.S. Women's Agenda has done. The U.S. Women's, at the UN Women Caucus, it has become very successful. And so I wanted to acknowledge Susan Lee also as part of these remarks. So thank you very much. And I'd like to pass this now on to the next person, June Marie.
Thank you so much, Gail. I'm really glad you brought that back into the conversation about the U.S. Women's Caucus, because that was another organization that Marilyn would not exist without Marilyn. And so much of what has been discussed and brought forward today has really shaped the feminist movement in the United States. Marilyn's work with the California Women's Agenda was really a catalyst for what went on to inform the progressive policies that we've seen in California. Everything from now, we have in California mandates about women on board, women in board representation. And it's really become a model for the rest of the nation and, quite frankly, for a lot of the world. So Marilyn, your work lives, and it is continuing to blossom in ways that I'm sure you perhaps didn't even consider, but I'm thrilled and delighted. So what I want to touch on now is our work at the UN with this Commission on the Status of Women. And I just want to highlight one example of Marilyn's paradigm about bringing the global local and vice versa. And also about Marilyn's intentionality in centering voices that have been historically marginalized, whether that is, single mothers or youth, or in the case of the example I'd like to share, it was the work around centering the voices of agricultural farm workers in the Central Valley in California, when the UN theme was including rural voices. And the year that we did this, the Women's Intercultural Network sent a team of folks, delegation of our members, to spend 3 days in the Central Valley in California, just doing deep listening with the farm worker women and understanding and being very proximate. And this is one of the things I love about the organization is kind of like both spectrums, right? We're going to listen at the grassroots, but it's not just listening and then trying to take their stories and bring them to an international fora. What I think is so important is that Marilyn recognized that we need to bring them themselves and have them speak for themselves. And so it was fundraising, and we brought together a delegate of individuals from the Central Valley who are working in the fields to actually tell their story at the UN, and to highlight the issues that they were facing, discriminatory issues and sexual harassment and everything else. I mean, the spectrum, labor issues, but in their own words. And it was incredibly powerful. It was a moving moment for me to see that global to local and local to global connection. And I just wanted to bring that up as one of the examples of just one delegation we've done at the UN CSW, and we've done them every year. So with that, I also want to talk about our youth delegates and our international Iranian Circle women delegates. So I'm going to turn it over really quickly to our next speaker who can share her experience. I would love to introduce you to Kaden Choi, who was our youth delegate last year to the UN CSW. Kaden, take it away.
Thank you, Miss June Marie. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to meet you all. First of all, I just want to say, Miss Marilyn, thank you so much for just everything that you've been doing to continue to advance the rights for women and girls, and just to really work to inspire activists like me and young women like me. So just thank you so much. I had the privilege of being able to attend the United Nations 60th Commission on the Status of Women this past March. I have to say that was probably one of the best and most unique experiences of my entire life by far. One of the amazing things is that I got to attend a CSW, a CEDAW board meeting at the New York Bar Association, which was just incredible. I learned so much about activism, especially being a young girl. And I just realized that, you know, activism is a lifelong commitment, and all of you women on this call have truly made that lifelong commitment and lifelong dedication and responsibility, just taking that up. So thank you so much. That is just such an inspiration to me. At the United Nations, I was able to attend so many parallel meetings with CSW and NGO, and also with just the UN side meetings as well. And I just want to highlight one of them that was really incredible and interesting to me. It was about the SDGs, and so the Sustainable Development Goals, which I'm really passionate about. And they highlighted the 17 SDGs and just how each of them relates to women in their own way. And I realized, you know, we have so much work to do. We have so much work to do to be able to, you know, reach those goals by 2030, which would be the end goal. But, you know, because of climate change and even COVID-19 and conflict, all of these things have been, you know, just being such a thing that is preventing us and hindering us from reaching those goals. And I also learned at that side meeting that if those goals are not reached by 2030, 1 in 4 women and girls will be moderately or even severely, you know, food insecure. And that was just mind-blowing to me, 1 in 4 women and girls. And so I just want to thank everyone on this call. Thank you so much for, you know, just working to ratify CEDAW in all of these cities. You've gone from San Francisco all the way to Kansas City and to Tampa. And I just want to thank you on behalf of my generation. You know, I always say that nobody understands the struggles and the hopes and dreams of young people better than young people themselves. And at the United Nations with Women's Intercultural Network, I was really able to experience that just deep connection with other women in all kinds of walks of life. And I felt like I really had a seat at the table and my voice was able to be heard. So thank you so much, just on behalf of my generation and just women activists like me. So thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Caden, thank you. It was such a joy and a pleasure and refreshing to have your perspective at the table at the one meeting you were speaking of, in particular at the New York Bar Association, but so many other of those spaces. I would turn and I would see you somewhere and you'd say, I just had the most amazing conversation, and it was just wonderful. So really love the work you're doing in your community to bring the UN agenda in home, and so grateful for you to be here today and being a part of the WIN family and a member of WIN. So thank you so much. All right, and so regarding CSW, our last person that I would love to have share just some reflection is Marjan Maloug, who is a member of our Iranian Circle of Women's Intercultural Network. Take it away, Marjan.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm mute. Yes. Hi, everybody. Nice seeing you all. Why I cannot hear anything? Okay. So I wanted to first of all thanks Marilyn. You are a role model for me, and again, nice seeing you all. So I'm so sorry. It's an honor to be part of the WIN family and to serve on ICWIN steering committee. As a new immigrant to US since 2015, I joined the Iranian Circle of Women for International Networking during the historic Women Life Freedom Uprising. ICWIN, a circle of WIN, has been a powerful platform for connecting with others who share a passion for gender equality and human rights. Established in August 2015, ICWIN was formally announced during WIN's 20th anniversary celebration and call to action in San Francisco on September 12, 2015. Over the past 9 years, ICWIN has been an active partner with feminist and human rights organizations across the Southern California, organizing events on March 8, International Women's Day, Women's Equality Day, and November 25th, which is International Days for Elimination of Violence Against All Women. Our effort has included a monthly TV program broadcast to Iran on women's issues, as well as creative street theater that we performed during the mass demonstration. We had so many mass demonstrations in Los Angeles to support the Women Life Freedom movement. In 2024, I have the honor to attend in CSW as a WIN delegate. It was a really transformative experience for me. It deepened my understanding of global solidarity and strengthened my commitment to advancing women's rights worldwide. And again, I'm so grateful to be part of this incredible community and look forward to doing this important work all together. And thanks for having me.
Thank you, Marjan.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, in this portion of our program, Elahi is going to close us out, and then I would love to hear from you all as well. And then also, there's been a couple of links dropped in the chat regarding that you can refer to for membership, which we would love for. Please, everyone, join, renew your membership. Please join. And then separately, we also have a donation link in there. If you would please consider WIN at your year-end donations. WIN is a 501c3 charitable registered organization, so your donations are 100% tax deductible. And as you can see through our programming, there's a lot of impact. So with that, Elahi, bring us home.
Thank you all again for being here and the time that you shared with all of us, for hearing the inspiring stories of celebrating Marilyn Fowler and generations of other younger activists and all ages, for continue the work that Marilyn and Eileen Hernandez started in 1994. Some of you, because of the dark COVID years, may not have attended one of our events. I want to share how busy and impactful the Women's Intercultural Network has been over the past few years. We've continued to present annually at the Commission on the Status of Women, CSW, and in 2024, we were proud to host 4 sessions. We are also building a strong solidarity with the women's movement in Iran, actively defending the rights of Afghan women. As you heard, Catherine shared that we signed, Women's Intercultural Network signed the humanitarian declaration of 174 Afghan women that they were not safe in their country, advocating for their safety and security. Most notably, WIN recently, in partnership with the Women's March Foundation in Los Angeles, has been honored to co-sponsor the City of Los Angeles dedication of a square in Westwood, home of vibrant Iranian American community, in the name of Mahsa Amini, Gina Amini, and the Women's Life Freedom movement in Iran. These efforts reflect our continued commitment to gender justice and global solidarity. Thank you for being part of this journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elahi. And I know that those Afghan roots go back for you to a time when you, as a delegate of WIN, as a group, went to Kabul long before the fall of the Taliban, with a grant from the State Department. We worked, I wasn't there, sorry, our organization, Marilyn's organization, and Elahi in person worked on the ground with leaders in Kabul and really helped to create that bridge of solidarity that also fed into our global circle of Afghan women. And to this day, we continue to support our sisters despite the incredibly devastating circumstances that are happening around the globe in many places for women, not to mention some of the pushback here. So with all of that, I would love to have you each put in a number. I'm going to write down a number for our drawing, and if I do call you, then you will receive this beautiful feminist necklace that is a part. It's actually really cool. Our partners in the work that we did to host the opening of the Women Life Freedom Square in Los Angeles this last fall. They designed these beautiful necklaces, and so it's part of the Women's March Foundation in the US. So you can see this is part of a broad global movement, and WIN is delighted to be in coalition with the Women's March Foundation. So that stated, I'm going to write a number down. Again, I'm taking a paper, writing it down right here, number between 1 and 100. All right, everybody put a number in the chat. I promise you this will be the number. Put your number in the chat. Whoever comes closest to this number between 1 and 100, 1 and 100, everyone, 1 and 100. 1 and 100. And speaking of 1 in 100, it really is 1 in a million, because that's what we're celebrating today. Marilyn is 1 in a million, and actually a million probably isn't even an accurate number, because I think they broke the mold when they made you Marilyn. Oh, I love it. I love all these numbers coming through. Okay, we have got, oh my gosh, Diana, 16, Patricia, 23, Rosemary, 37, Sudi, 8, Marjan, 86, Afsana, 7, Linda, 17, Elahi's 50. She's hedging her bet. Brittany, 42, Elmi's 44. We've got Julianne at 48. Gail's 3. She's shooting low. Jill, 30. Let's see, Caden, 31. Let's see, Marianne. Okay, anybody else need to have before we open the mic and have you all jump in, and would whoever would like to share, I think I'm going to have you raise your hands, and then I will have our tech assistant, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren, for helping us out today. Unmute you. Okay, so then you can speak in order and offer your congratulatory sentiments to Marilyn. All right, everybody in? Okay, here is the number. Where are we? Can y'all see? 37. I think it's Rosemary, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Rosemary, make sure you DM me your address and I will put this in the mail to you. Congratulations, Rosemary. Really excited to share this beautiful commemoration for today with you. And thank you all so much for being here. With that, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and we will call on you and you can share. And I would just please keep it to like 1 minute so we can get to everybody, because I know Marilyn would love to hear from all of you. Okay, thank you so much. All right, hands up. Who would like to share a sentiment for Marilyn? We've got a lot of remarks in the chat as well. Latifa is saying, on behalf of Afghan women, I would like to thank WIN for all its great works, especially for supporting and helping suffering women inside Afghanistan. Thank you, Latifa. Latifa is one of our distinguished board members. She's incredible with her dedication to showing up for WIN in some of the harshest contexts. And so thank you, Latifa. Lots of sentiments. We will download this chat so that Marilyn we can share it with Marilyn. All right. Lauren, would you like to call on, or can I call on Diana Carpenter? Diana, the floor is yours.
Hi, Marilyn. I am so delighted that Holly got in touch with me, that I was able to join. We met with the Women's Equality Parade in California. And thanks to Carol Norberg, my godmother, I was able to attend a lot of your events and work on CEDAW locally. And you were so gracious to me. I enjoyed the time that you invited me over for tea, and I had such a wonderful time. Eileen, I got her hat, and I wear that hat in memory because she said I didn't have a purple hat, but we always, I'm just overwhelmed with the work that you're doing. And even though I've backed away in some ways, I'm still very much involved with women and girls issues locally. And that's because of you and Eileen, such wonderful trailblazers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diana. All right, other hands up. I'm having a hard time seeing. Linda, do you have a hand up? Okay, Linda, take it away.
I have also a hand up, please. My name is Rona Popal.
Okay, we will get there. Go ahead, go for it, Linda.
Marilyn, Chris, so wonderful to see you. It's wonderful to see you. In Kansas City in 1976, we were working on the Equal Rights Amendment in Missouri. I was the president of NOW, and Marilyn was running the Commission of the Status of Women, which had sort of two different approaches to things. And Marilyn called me up and said, I think we need to meet. And we met and have been dear friends ever since. I've traveled the world with Marilyn, been her roomie at Beijing, at Uganda, all these wonderful places, helped her move. Unfortunately, I also helped her move from the Midwest out to California and gave her to you. Chris, I remember when you were in college. So Marilyn, congratulations. Love you so much and respect you so much. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Lee. Good to see you too, Lee.
Oh, thank you, Linda. And thank you for your great work with NOW and beyond. All right, we're going to turn now to Elmi Bermeo. And
thank you so
much.
Take
it over, Elmi.
Thank you so much, Jean Marie. It's so great to see you, Marilyn. I miss you. You recruited me when I was working for John Burton and with Kawa and helped me become a delegate and introduced me to these amazing women. But I think you've done so many things to highlight the leadership, excuse me, of other women. And I just want to say, I'll never forget when you gave Nancy Pelosi the Princess Leia Award for fighting the forces of evil, which comes so handy these days. And so I hope she still has that lightsaber. I know she's recovering well, but I just want to say thank you so much for all you do. You inspire us. You make us do things we sometimes don't think we can do, whether it's, oh no, I don't know if I can attend that. Yes, you can. And so there's always a solution to whatever obstacle might be in the way. And I thank you for putting that in the consciousness, for never giving up, and for your amazing spirit, and how blessed I am to have gotten to know you and to be introduced to this collective group of really women warriors who are continuing the struggle. And while we think about you and how you motivated us and continue to motivate us. So thank you so much. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Elmi. And thank you for all the organizing work you do and the work you're doing with the administration now. And next year, we're going to get you back because I don't think Trump's going to take you on. Not that you'd accept it. All right. Thank you.
Mary, Rona's hand was up first. Rona, she actually was the instrumental in bringing a group together and the delegate to Afghanistan. So Rona has long relation with WIN. Thank you, Rona, for being here.
Thank you, Rona. I was just about to call on you. Take it over, Rona.
Thank you so much. I would like to say hi, Marilyn. I'm so happy to see your beautiful face. You really help us a lot. Do you remember after 9/11, you were the one came to us. You were the one show us what to do. You were the one train us what to do. You take us with you with the State Department one trip we had in Afghanistan. And I really appreciate what you have done with Afghan women. You worked hard. You really worked hard. But unfortunately, Marilyn, you know that what's going on again in Afghanistan. Taliban is back, same as 1994, which is me and you and everybody with Elahe. We were talking. We had so many to conferences we went. And I hope you remember that. And I remember you a lot, and we love you a lot. Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciated what you have done for the Afghanistan and for the Afghan woman. Thank you, Elahe, for your help and support. Thanks. Thank you.
Rona, thank you so much for sharing that sentiment. And please know our hearts are with your Afghan sisters, and so grateful for their strength. And we will continue to advocate and push back on.
Thank you. Thank you. I will get in touch with you guys. You really need to start working again. Thank you.
Yes, we are continuing to push. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have
I think Patricia's hands is up, same as Rosemary. So
okay, Patricia. And then we'll go to Rosemary.
Okay. Well, congratulations, Marilyn, on this wonderful testament to the legacy of all of your work and activism. When I think of you, you propel me forward, and you have my heart forever. So all my best wishes to you, and happy holidays. Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Patricia. Rosemary, take it away.
Marilyn, it is absolutely wonderful to see you. Congratulations. I feel very emotional, which is a bit unusual for me. Anyway, it's just fabulous to be part of this honoring. Everything everybody has said about you is totally, I mean, beyond the beyond. So I miss you being here in San Francisco. God, you're the reason I'm here. You know, we met in Seattle, and eventually you persuaded me to come and live here. I think it was a great move. I often think of you when I'm teaching young women filmmakers about storytelling and the significance of telling our stories from our perspective. I hear your voice often telling me things, and I miss that. I'm so grateful for you, who you are, and all you've done for women around the world. It's a blessing and an honor to know you and call you my friend. Next time I'm in LA, I'll be over to see you. And Chris, thank you for taking such good care of this special woman. Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday, and I'll see you in 2025. Bye.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. Would anyone else like to offer a sentiment? I will read a couple of the sentiments from the chat just so Marilyn can hear them. Trying to go back. And meanwhile, if you would like to jump in, please raise your hands. Let's see.
Jan Flint also wrote beautiful sentiments in the chat. If she's here still, Jan, it's wonderful to see you. Please share your words. I don't know if she left or still here, but
Rosemary Straley put in the chat as well about this tribute and your legacy. Your vision and catalytic role has inspired and mobilized all of us in our respective efforts to further women's rights and gender equity. Brava. Marianne said, congratulations. I'm grateful you pulled me in, invited me to become a part of WIN. Your encouragement, mentoring, commitment were and continue to be incredibly inspiring. As Charlie said, sometimes we need to take a step back and move forward with a smaller step. I had to do just that these past years, focusing on the women in my community and 4 daughters, and not a day goes by where I don't try and insert a bit of Marilyn into my being and focus on solutions. I look forward to the near future when I'm able to more fully immerse myself the broader women's community, and thanks you. Understand how to move forward. Congratulations again, and much gratitude. Liz Abzug expounded on her wonderful remarks, thanking you again, and encouraging us all to bring this work forward and go onward, striving for peace and justice. Julianne, also onward and upward, and acknowledging the excitement of being a part of today. Latifah's congratulating. Catherine is congratulating. Let's see.
Rosemary's hands is up.
Okay, great. I just finished the chat, so this is perfect. Rosemary, please share.
Marilyn, do you remember all our years when we were working so hard together while Hillary Clinton checked off all the boxes to become the most qualified candidate ever for the presidency? Can you see my t-shirt?
Yeah, she does remember.
Yeah, the Hillary Support Network for 30 years. Our hundreds of chapters around the country certainly were part of your effort. And I just want to thank you, Marilyn, for being the penultimate mentor and role model for all of us. You are so dear. I hope you will play this just stellar program with all of your friends and colleagues. You'll play it often, and remember that your life has been an extraordinary blessing for women everywhere. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, with that, our program is coming to a close. I want to give the last word to Chris, perhaps, and Marilyn. And Chris, can you give your mom a big hug for us? Can we just see, like, you wrap your arms around her for us and give her a big squeeze from all of us? Yes. Oh, I can feel it. I can feel her energy. Oh, thank you so much, Chris. And thank you for all you do for her. Okay, Chris, would you like to share a closing sentiment?
Well,
and also, I'm sorry, I didn't want to also leave out Lee. If Lee, did you want to say anything? It's Marilyn's other son.
I'll just say thank you, everybody. And everybody's like, you take care of Marilyn. She calls the shots still. So it's of course we all love her. And thank you all for putting this together. It was a wonderful program. And I think Jay was going to share a picture of Marilyn in Paris. He still has it. But... And Lebo, did you want to say hi? Lebo doesn't know how to unmute, so Lebo says hello. Thank you, everyone.
What a day. What a day. What a lady.
June Mary, should we take a group picture with everybody wanna be in the group picture, all of us here?
Sure, let's do it. Can Lauren facilitate?
Yeah.
All right, everyone, put your cameras on, get cute.
Yep, go ahead and turn on your cameras if you want to be in the group picture.
Come on, folks. This is for Marilyn.
Here we go. Yeah, we're getting more. We're getting more. Here they come. I'm Lauren, by the way. Hi, I've been doing the tech behind the scenes. Nice to meet you guys. All right. Is everybody got their camera on? Okay, smile. 3, 2. Oops, we're gonna do it again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Ready? Go ahead, look in the camera if you can. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. All right, good job. Thanks so much.
Love you all.
Thank you, everyone. Marilyn, we love you. We wish you
Thank you, Marilyn.
blessings and a wonderful holiday season. And I'm going to come see you soon, lady. All right, everyone. Thanks
Thank
for being,
you.
thanks for
so
being
much.
here.
Thank
Please,
you.
for
please,
being here.
please consider being a part of WIN, joining, renewing your membership.
Yes.
I did.
So appreciate
Thank
any
you.
support for
Thank
all
you.
of the work we do.
Bye, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Holidays.
Thank you to my wonderful
Love
fellow
you,
board.
Marilyn.
Thank you, wonderful fellow board members. Everybody want to take your mic off mute and just say bye-bye, Marilyn.
Bye,
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye,
Bye
Marilyn.
Marilyn.
Love you.
Bye Marilyn.
Thank you, June Marie.
Love you.
Bye.
Love
Love
you.
you.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.